First of all, just team news, what the situation is, and with Mazraoui and Burmo, could one of them potentially feature this weekend, or would you give some time off?
I don't think so. I think it's too close a turnaround, so we'll have the same players available for the game as we had against Burnley, so no new additions, and Brian and Noose will be not available for the game.
Grimsby was the low point of the season in the Carabao Cup. This is a club synonymous with cup success, so how important is it to have an FA Cup run and this competition?
That's an important competition, and Manchester United's about winning trophies, and I think we've had good success in the competition in recent years. Won it a couple of years ago, lost in the final. It's an amazing competition. It's the first trophy that I won as a player. It's a special tournament, and as in with the season so far, not in Europe, out of the League Cup, it's Premier League obviously, but it's the FA Cup's a trophy that we should be vying to win and giving ourselves every opportunity to win.
Manchester United fans, this is one of those games that carries far more weight than people want to admit. We have a very important fixture on our hands as we welcome Brighton to Old Trafford in the FA Cup, and the pressure around this match is massive. Remember, we already lost our very first Carabao Cup game to Grimsby Town, and now here we are again, facing another cup tie against a Brighton side that has never been easy for us to deal with. This is a team that has caused us serious problems over the years, a team that has come to Old Trafford before and embarrassed us, and their record against us speaks for itself. Brighton have been doing us dirty for a long time, and even though Amorim managed to put an end to that run at Old Trafford a few months ago, this time it is a very different situation. We are now going into this game without Amorim, with a squad that is already stretched thin by injuries and with several important players missing due to AFCON. That is why this match feels so dangerous, so uncomfortable, and so decisive. Losing this game would not just be another defeat, it would be a massive slap in the face, because it would mean we are knocked out of every cup competition at the very first hurdle we face. That would be unacceptable for a club like Manchester United, and that is why this game carries so much pressure, so much emotion, and so much at stake. But one very important thing about this fixture is that it is going to tell us exactly what to expect from these players in this new back four system, especially when we come up against teams that do not sit back but instead dominate possession and attack you for long periods. This is not a Burnley type game where the opponent defends deep and waits. Brighton are a team that will come to Old Trafford to keep the ball, move it quickly, and put us under constant pressure. This match will clearly show us how this team reacts when they are asked to defend for longer spells, how they will be able to keep possession when Brighton tries to dictate the game, how they will react when they are pressed high, and when they are chased around the pitch by a possession-based side. Most importantly, this game is going to give us a very clear picture of what to expect in our next two Premier League fixtures, because we are about to face Manchester City and Arsenal, two teams that dominate possession, control games, and punish every small mistake you make. These are teams that have always caused us serious problems, just like Brighton, so whatever we see in this FA Cup game will be a strong indicator of what is coming next. There will be no excuses in this one, and there will be nothing like resting players for the Manchester City game, because that match is still days away after the FA Cup tie against Brighton. We also need to remember that we have not won our last 3 Premier League games, so confidence is already fragile. A win against Brighton would not just be about qualification, it would give this team belief, momentum, and some positivity going into a very difficult run of fixtures. That is why this game matters so much. We cannot afford to take it lightly just because it is the FA Cup. Winning trophies still matters, and it will never be a crime if we win a cup and still qualify for the Champions League, especially since many fans always demand results without wanting to hear about rebuilding. If that is the case, then this is a result we must chase. A strong performance and a win here could give us more confidence and momentum going into the Manchester derby. But there are at least some positives to take going into the Manchester City game, and that is the return of Mbeumo. He will be back in Manchester and available for the Manchester City fixture, even though he won't be available for the Brighton game. That alone is a big boost for us, because it gives us more depth and more options in attack, something we badly need when facing a team like Manchester City. Against a side that presses relentlessly, controls possession, and punishes you in transition, having an extra attacking option who can stretch the game, run in behind, and add intensity is very important. His return does not suddenly fix all our problems, but it does give us something we have lacked in recent games, which is depth and variation in attack. As for the Brighton game, it remains the same situation. We will still have to go into that match with what we currently have available, deal with the injuries and absentees, and find a way to compete with the players on the pitch. There are no shortcuts here and no excuses either. This Brighton game will still be a big test for this squad in its current state, but knowing that reinforcements like Mbeumo are close to returning should at least give some encouragement as we prepare for the bigger challenges ahead. Now there was something we all noticed, and that is the clear division within the fan base. I noticed that some Manchester United fans were actually wishing for us to lose against Burnley so they could justify Ruben Amorim and prove a point. And honestly, that is not really ideal or good for this club now. If you have watched my videos for a long time, you already know that I supported Amorim and I supported his ideas. I understood what he was trying to build and why he was doing it. But because Amorim is no longer here does not mean I will sit down and wish Manchester United to lose football matches just to prove I was right. That is not right, and it should never be normal. This is our club. Every point we drop, every game we lose out on very important things: league position, confidence, momentum, European football, and even our long-term future. Yes, it is painful. Yes, it hurts to see how this club is being managed. Yes, a lot of fans are frustrated and angry, and they have every right to be angry. But wishing bad results for Manchester United is not the solution. We cannot stop supporting the club because of anger at the board or emotions over Amorim's sack. What we have to do now is accept where we are, focus on the future, and move forward from here. We have to look at how we can still get good results with the situation we are in and try to finish this season as strong as possible. And that is exactly what this video is about. I am going to drop my preferred starting 11 for the game against Brighton, and I am also going to talk about some very important things we must not do against Brighton because those mistakes can cost us the game. So please stay with me till the end of this video, and as usual, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and support more raw and honest Manchester United football talk. Now before I even start, there are a few very important things we have to point out first, because the truth is this: no formation, no system, and no tactics in the world will ever work if these same issues keep repeating themselves. We can argue about back 4, back 3, 4-2-3-1 or anything else all day long, but if these habits don't change, nothing will truly change on the pitch. There has been a long-standing culture in this team of scoring a goal, taking the lead, and then immediately relaxing, and this did not start today, and it did not start with Ruben Amorim. This has been happening for a very long time. We saw it repeatedly under Ten Hag also, we saw it again under Amorim, and we even saw clear signs of it in our last game. We score, we go ahead, and instead of pushing for the second goal, instead of controlling the game, the players naturally drop deep and start defending the lead. And the moment that happens, you can almost feel it as a fan, you just know a goal is coming. It has become predictable. The opponent gains confidence, starts growing into the game, and before you know it, they equalize. This pattern has been hurting us for seasons now, and it keeps costing us points. The players score, and rather than killing the game, they retreat, they stop pressing with the same intensity, and they allow pressure to build. And for me, the biggest reason this keeps happening comes back to the midfield. We lose control far too easily in that area of the pitch. We struggle to slow the game down when we need to, and at the same time we struggle to stop opponents from running through us. Once we lose that midfield control, teams are allowed to come at us wave after wave, and that is why we end up conceding so many goals after taking the lead. Until this issue is addressed, it will not matter who the coach is or what formation we play, the same problems will keep repeating themselves. Now secondly, whenever we play at Old Trafford, a place that is supposed to be our stronghold, a place where teams should come and fear us, for some strange reason we end up doing the exact opposite of what we should be doing. Instead of starting on the front foot, instead of imposing ourselves early, we relax, we take our time, we start slow, and before we realize it, the game has slipped away from us or become unnecessarily difficult. This is Old Trafford, this is our home, and in a knockout competition like this, playing at home is a massive advantage that we simply cannot afford to waste. We have to start fast, we have to be aggressive from the first whistle, we have to get the fans involved early and turn the stadium into a hostile environment for the opposition. When the crowd is behind us, the confidence grows, the momentum builds, and suddenly we start to control the game instead of reacting to it. Under Amorim, we most times scored first, and that was a big shift from what we were used to under previous coaches, where we were known as comeback kings, always conceding first and then chasing games. Amorim changed that mentality by making us start games with intensity, by pushing the team to attack early and set the tone. I really hope to see that same spirit in this game, because when you start fast, when you put pressure on the opponent from the beginning, the chances of getting the first goal increase massively. And once you get that first goal, especially at Old Trafford, the entire game can swing in our favour. The confidence rises, the opposition starts doubting themselves, and suddenly we are the ones dictating how the game is played. This is a knockout game, and we cannot afford another slow, passive start at home. Thirdly, I always say this, and I will keep saying it. No formation, no tactics, no system, no coach in world football will succeed if the players themselves do not fight. Nothing works without effort, nothing works without hunger. Look at how we conceded the first goal against Burnley. That goal did not come from a tactical masterclass, it came from players switching off, players ball watching, players sleeping for a few seconds, and at this level a few seconds is enough to punish you. This has been happening far too often. We relax, we lose concentration, we stop doing the basics, and then we are shocked when the ball ends up in our net. If these players do not fight for the full 90 minutes, if they do not show urgency from the first whistle to the last, there is no way we win this game. It is very easy to blame the coach, very easy to blame formations and systems, but we rarely talk about the lack of intensity and concern from the players themselves. They need to fight for this badge, they need to chase every loose ball, close down every man, win every second ball, track runners, defend crosses, and keep that same level of aggression and focus for the entire 90 minutes. Football at this level is about desire as much as it is about tactics, and without that desire, everything else becomes useless. Lastly, we have to take our chances, because football is a game of moments. If you don't take your chances, you will get punished, it is that simple. We have created the most chances in the Premier League, and that is not an opinion, that is a fact. If we had taken even a reasonable percentage of those chances, we would not be where we are right now. Most times, the players miss chances and the coach ends up suffering for it. We would not be sitting around 5th in the league if we converted even 60% of the chances we create, not to talk of 80%. That is how big the difference is. And this game will be no different. Sesko is coming into this match after scoring 2 goals against Burnley, so that hunger, that confidence in front of goal, has to continue. The chances will come, they always do. Bruno will create because he has more freedom when he plays in that free role. Casemiro will create, Dorgu will create, Cunha will create. And beyond that, these same players will also find themselves in goal-scoring positions. When those moments arrive, we have to be ruthless. Kill the game early. Be decisive in the final third. No selfish play, no overthinking, no extra touches. Pass when you need to pass, shoot when you need to shoot, and be clinical. That is what will win us this game. Now let's get into the formation properly, because this is where everything people have been arguing about finally meets reality. We are setting up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, exactly what many fans have been shouting for. So this game becomes a real test of all those expectations. This is not just about naming a formation on paper, this is about how these players interpret it, how they execute it, and whether it actually gives us more balance, control, and aggression against a very good Brighton side. In goal, I am going with Lamans. This is a big game, a knockout game, and he has to be fully switched on from the first minute. At right back, we are going with Dalot. And this is purely because Mazraoui is not available, because if he was, Dalot should not be starting games. This is a massive test for him because he is coming up against Mitoma, and we all know what Mitoma can do when given space. Dalot has to raise his level, both defensively and offensively. At left back, I am going with Luke Shaw. I expect more from him going forward in this game. More quality on the ball, better decision-making in the final third, and more confidence when pushing up the pitch. But at the same time, he has to be disciplined defensively. Brighton have pace, they have direct wingers, and they will try to isolate our fullbacks. Shaw has to balance his attacking intent with his defensive responsibilities because we cannot afford to be open down that side. At left centre-back, I am going with Martinez, and at right centre-back, I am going with Heaven. I am not fully trusting Euro at the moment, and this game is too big for uncertainty. Heaven needs to start. I will not hold him responsible for that own goal against Burnley, because that situation was not totally his fault. He is a very good defender, composed on the ball, and we need his presence in this game. Moving into midfield, the double pivot will be Mainoo and Casemiro, and this is something many fans have been crying out for. Now that we finally have it, I really want to see what it looks like in practice, especially against a team like Brighton that values possession and control. Mainoo brings calmness, intelligence, and composure, while Casemiro brings experience, physicality, and defensive awareness. The big question here is control. Can this midfield dominate spaces, stop transitions, and dictate the tempo of the game? This match will give us real answers. In the number 10 role, I am going with Bruno, and this is where he should thrive. This is his zone, this is where he influences games the most. He will have freedom, he will have responsibility, and he will be expected to create, lead, and make things happen. On the left wing, I am going with Cunha. When he played on the right, he was barely in the game, and that tells you everything. He is also not a natural wide player. If you play him wide, you end up finding him drifting into midfield because that is where he feels comfortable. On the right wing, I am going with Dorgu, and this is a very important decision. I want him to support Dalot heavily, just like he did against Newcastle when he helped deal with Gordon. I do not trust Dalot one-on-one against Mitoma for 90 minutes, so Dorgu's work rate, tracking back, and defensive support will be vital. At the same time, he has to be brave going forward and offer an outlet on the right. I know many fans want to see Lacey, but this is not the game for him to start. He can come off the bench and make an impact later. Up front, the main man is Benjamin Sesko. Everything will come down to how clinical he is. The chances will come, that is almost guaranteed with the players around him. His movement, physical presence, and confidence will trouble Brighton, but he has to finish. If he gets chances in this game, he has to bury them, because that could be the difference between progressing and going out of another cup competition.